This is the final installment of the Spies series of puzzles, and it features Spies number 6, designed by Alphonse Ekmans. Now, if you've just come across this series and are looking to build it, I strongly recommend that you build one of the, or a few, if not all of the previous 5 puzzles to prepare you for this one. This is by far the most difficult puzzle in this series. Because it's this difficult, I've presented it as a disassembly puzzle only. Alphonse has generously allowed me to provide the STL, the 3D printed files for these for your enjoyment. Please respect his copyright and only use it for your own enjoyment, and don't distribute the files. This is a very difficult puzzle, probably, or certainly I think, the most difficult in the series. There's 3 plates. I think that probably adds to the difficulty level. I've made a take-apart plate for the 3rd plate, and it uses a couple of M3 screws, 10mm, 12mm screws long, should work. It's got 3 top pieces, 1 fork, and the 3 plates. You can see the final form here, similar to most of the other Spies. The only addition is the 3rd plate. However, with 3 plates and a fork, there's 256 possible orientations, and if you were not to know any of these orientations, it would certainly take you a while to track down all those different combinations and finally find the final form. And because of that, I've just provided this as an assembly puzzle. So you can create these parts from the link in the description. Once you've built them, there's a video on how to build this puzzle, and that follows. So here's all the parts that you'll need. There are 3 plates. I printed the 3 plates in black, but you don't need to print the 3rd plate. I recommend printing it as a 2-part plate shown in gray there. So I'll set the 3rd plate, the 1-piece plate, aside. And we're going to assemble the 3 gray pieces just in the first 2 plates. And that's the orientation there, the leftmost piece. We'll put that in first. And then we'll put the fork in. We're going to use an illegal move to put the fork in, but we're just assembling the puzzle here at this point. You can try it a few different ways that don't work. However, if you put that fork in through the bottom, you can pivot it up and put it through that first piece. And then you'll slide the fork all the way over to the left. You'll put in the middle piece. Just make sure you get the right piece for the middle. Looks similar to the right-hand side piece. That just slides on the fork. And finally, you have the last piece here. So putting it on the first 2 black plates is not too tough. From then you'll just put the fork back into its original position, and you'll wrap around that 2-piece 3rd plate right in the bottom there. That should be pretty obvious. It shows the orientation there. So we've got the bottom part of that. You can see the 2 screws. Just snap that on. And then you'll screw that down. And now you have a fully assembled puzzle. You can take that plate apart generally and take apart the puzzle if you get lost and start again. Now your puzzle should work like this if you've put it together properly. It'll just show how the first couple pieces move. So if your pieces move like this, you've assembled the puzzle properly. With the 3 plates, you'll find that as you take this apart, the puzzle becomes pretty loose, and it can be difficult to keep parts from rotating. It can be difficult to keep the fork from falling out. I work pretty carefully over a tabletop for this one. As with all the other Spies puzzles, there's no rotations, although it'll be a little difficult sometimes to keep a part from rotating. It's a level 55. Because you're taking it apart, there's 32 moves to remove the first part, or at least 32 moves. You'll certainly make a lot more. And then 9 to remove the second, 6 for the next, 4 for the next, and so on. This is the only one in this series I'd say I didn't solve. I sort of gave up and used burr tools to take it apart. So I admit defeat on this one. I'm going to show the burr tool solution, as this is difficult to film and keep the puzzle all apart at the same time. The only hint here is that the plates will separate in the Z direction, and by that I mean the plates will come apart with some space in between them. And that adds another dimension of difficulty to the puzzle, and it can be a little difficult to keep the puzzle together. So we'll take a look at the burr tool solution, and you should be able to follow this to take yours apart if you finally give up on it. But I recommend spending a lot of time with this. This is by far the most difficult, and so you may want to do this over weeks of time. This is the orientation showing the Spies word here, Spies 6. So this is what I call the top plate. And we'll start by moving the fork all the way to the left, and you'll see this will come out. The fork will go back, and this will come up so far, and then the bottom blue plate will move up. And this will move, that red piece will move down. And then you can move the other two top pieces up. The blue plate will move over to the right. And we'll just show the orientation at this point. So you can sort of see all the parts. And as we go forward, you can see the green piece there has moved up, and it's above that. You can sort of see the orientation here. So that green bottom piece, the dark green, will slide over, and at that point the blue plate will slide in. And once it slides in, this will slide up as well. And it will take the bottom blue piece with it. So we'll take a look at that. That's after only 12 moves. So at this point you should have this orientation for your parts. From here, fork will slide to the left, and the green piece will move all the way down, and the fork will come sort of down, over, and up. And at this point, you'll notice that these start to separate. This becomes difficult to keep together at this point. So as that goes up, this plate slides over and allows that to go down. So as we see there, the fork's in that position. This is a tough one to follow along with. There's a lot happening here, and it's difficult to keep this together. You can see that blue plate with the dark green moving towards us as the pink moves over and allows that fork to go up a little higher. So you'll see the fork is even with the pink piece here. And that will then move over to the right as the blue plate moves to the left. And then you'll see that blue plate here with the light green will move upwards. And at this point, you should have something like this. So as we continue along, pink piece goes down. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. Down, over, and that will then just fall out. From there, this will become pretty loose and you'll have a hard time keeping it together. See, the blue piece will move over and a bunch of pieces will start to move over this way. So we'll look at this rotation of these. Now that bottom plate starts to move over. And this, which was up a bit, oops, that was up there. You'll notice that this pink piece is moving now up, and this will move over and down and off. So we've removed our second piece. Now, from there with the two plates, you probably are going to find it pretty trivial because we've built it in this with just these top two plates. You can see that will move over and up. That will move out, goes down, and then we have our solution.